Thank you and welcome to the show for today. You are watching Perspectives and I am host Alana McLaughlin. This morning on the show I have three members of the It's Really Just Us Music Collective, and we're discussing their backgrounds, their educations, the impact that they seek to leave on Tennessee communities, specifically, on Tennessee music scenes. And ultimately we're talking about ways that their artistry is unique and ultimately ways that we can support them in their work. I want to thank you guys for just spending some time with me this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Wiley, I want to start it off with you. Introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about where you're from, kind of what baby Wiley years look like for you, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Wiley. I go by my friend Wiley. I consider myself a Nashville native. I've been here since elementary school. I was originally from Savannah, Georgia, and baby years, I remember I started making music or rapping in the 5th grade when a teacher asked me to write a rap about not doing drugs for the DARE program.
So that was like your early introduction.
Early introduction to hip hop, and I just fell in love with it. My older sister, sibling, she had older friends that would sit around and freestyle, and I'm like, I could do that, and I could do it and actually do it well. So yeah, early childhood was that. I got my first studio time when I was 15 years old. Quickly got onto a label and started touring all around the Southeast with a manager. Then stopped doing music for 8 years.
And I want to pick back up on that.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, we're going to say that for our second segment, man.
All right.
And guys, I want that same thing, those baby years. Feel free, anybody, to jump in, but just introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about those baby years.
Mine was nothing like that. Okay, let me go ahead and say that. But my name's Adrian. I go by King, doing his thing on everything. I'm from rural Missouri. Country.
Now, what part of Missouri?
Sticks, south of Kansas City.
Oh.
About an hour. You'll probably never know the town. I had like 1,400 people population, and I lived outside the town.
Oh.
Okay. Farm. It was just, dude, I lived up on a farm and everything. It was crazy.
Oh,
but I would say introductions, baby years into like music. I was hiding in my closet. Okay, I was hiding in the closet, recording on my phone, making beats. I didn't really even think my parents would like that stuff. But hey, you know what? They haven't said anything since. It happened. It's great. But
now,
yeah.
Timmy, I have to ask, what were some early inspirations being in like rural Missouri?
Exactly, right?
Right.
Well, YouTube, for one. But I got introduced by a friend from high school, or not from high school, it was probably elementary. And he was just like, hey, you should check this out. And he showed me Eminem.
Oh.
And like the only rap song I knew of at the time was Ice Ice Baby. And then I learned about Eminem. And then I learned about a whole bunch of other people, a whole lot of other things. And I just kind of hid that stuff on my MP3. I was just like, we'll figure this out.
So Eminem was kind of like your beginning.
It was a start. It was a start, but it started branching out everywhere.
And Nate, kind of tell me those same, introduce yourself, tell me those baby years.
Yeah, mine's a lot less exciting. I'm Nate, go by Nate Mack. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And I had a pretty average childhood. I like J. Cole and I like Charlie Puth a lot. You can't hear
the duality. I don't know.
Yeah, you go from Wayne to Charlie Puth to the Beatles, but I was raised on Beatles, on Pink Floyd, on Weezer, so it was like
country music.
Just a lot. Like my whole family's music lovers, so eventually I just kind of got into it. But like I had stage fright. I was a really shy kid, so it didn't hit until like high school for me. So.
And tell me, and this is kind of how I want to end this first segment. Tell me about high school. Tell me about that first kind of performance experience, getting through that stage fright. And guys, I'm going to ask y'all that same thing, so be thinking.
Well, I started by making parodies. I wrote a diss track on this chick who did me wrong.
Real?
At what age?
Plain Jane. It was freshman year of high school. Plain Jane by A$AP Ferg.
Oh my gosh.
Did a parody of it. And then I didn't take it serious. And then senior year, dropped a song. And everybody in school was talking about it.
No. How do we go from freshman year parody to I didn't take it serious to I dropped a song?
Because it was a lot like, I was doing parodies and it was a joke. And a lot of people were laughing about it. And then halfway through it, I'm like, this isn't bad. Like, this isn't bad for like a first, like the writing's not bad, it was creative. And
I think that's the one thing that relates with all of us. Yeah. We all realize like, hey, you know what?
Yeah, and so, I booked a studio session because of this buddy I knew and, made a lot of really bad songs until I became a senior and then, we started to finally figure out that groove.
Yeah, now, and where are you from?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so all of you guys, Missouri, Ohio, you're now in Tennessee though at this point. But goodness, I like hearing you guys' background, those early experiences. And in our second segment, I just want to talk about really tapping into music, kind of really going full-fledged with your artistry. I want to talk about some of those further experiences, those inspirations, and ultimately the impact that you want to leave on Music City through this music, through you guys' collective work, through solo work, and through these performances. And ultimately, I want to talk about what makes you guys special. In our second segment, I encourage viewers to tune back in to hear this story, to hear It's Really Just Us Collective, discuss their individual artistries, discuss the work that they do in our local community in ways that we can support them. To the second segment of the show for today. You are watching Perspectives, and I am host Alana McLaughlin. This morning, I have three individuals of It's Really Just Us Music Collective here discussing their backgrounds, their educations, the work that they do in our local community, and ultimately the impact that they seek to leave through their music on our local community. In our first segment, I set up my three guests' kind of early lives. I set up where they're from, some of their early music inspirations, and now I want to talk about the early beginnings of their careers. I want to talk about how they all kind of joined together and joined forces, and I want to talk about just what makes this group unique. Guys, the big question I want to pose before we go any further, how did you guys get to Nashville? And anybody feel free to jump in. I know you were already here, but I want to...
The main man.
I could probably answer that question.
Come on, yeah.
It's all you.
So this is where my music career kind of flipped.
Okay.
As I mentioned, I stopped doing music for 8 years, and that was due to heartbreak and just wanting to step aside from it. And ironically, heartbreak and tragedy brought me back to music, and I started remembering why I started writing in the first place, which was therapy. I needed therapy, and so I started writing. Whereas I was writing for the crowd or what I thought people would like, now I'm brought back to music, and I'm writing what I would like to write about as therapy. So I go down to this music retreat down in Orlando, and I meet these two guys. Along with K9, our other producer. He couldn't make it here today.
We miss you.
And over the course of the next year, I convinced these two guys to move across the country to form this collective that we now call It's Really Just Us. They picked up, they left, they quit their jobs, they moved hours and hours, they left their families, they left everything because they believed in what I was doing and believed in the dream. And
what the heck? I need to know. I need to know specifics.
I'm kind of crazy.
Yes, I mean, just tell me. I mean,
Well,
seriously, you guys meet this man at a festival, right? You meet this beautiful man.
So what we met him at was what we call music retreats, but it was just somebody we knew on Instagram who all individually invited us out.
Are y'all not terrified? Did y'all know this person?
No.
Well, there was a random ad.
Yeah, no. See, the first time I did it was earlier than when they came. And it was even more sketchy.
Oh
I was in Tennessee actually when I was out in the mountains, and I was just like hanging out. Shout out to Stafford, because I'm gonna tell you right now.
And what do these retreats? I mean, what do you guys do?
Make music. 5-7 days.
Yep.
Oh yeah. It's
like
early.
It's Orlando, so the cheap building, the Airbnbs are there. So we just stick like 30 people in there, all pay for it, and that's how we met. And it was like my fourth or fifth. I was a little busy to it, but they were new, and man, just so much happened. Much happened. The connections were so vast.
It was that first trip that I recognized something in King. I recognized something in K9. Nate, I hadn't quite caught on to yet.
I didn't portray myself very well.
Like he said, he was shy. So.
Well, I didn't know at that time that he had the voice of an angel.
He was rapping, okay?
So
Like he was rapping instead of singing. And if you've heard his singing, it's just unbelievable that he was stuck rapping at that time.
Sing.
Nate, now that leads me into asking,
Voice
how
of an
did you
angel.
transition from rapping to singing?
Oh, the wake up call. You realize, the retreat. Honestly, the retreat was honestly.
What's the name of this thing? Is it just like the retreat?
Well, they go by underground retreats.
Oh,
That's like,
okay.
and that's they're pretty established right now. Stafford's been doing his thing, and he's got a
find
good
him
thing
on
going
Instagram.
on. They're gonna be in Scotland this year, I think, in a castle. So I mean, shout out them.
Oh
They're
my God,
doing-
just making music.
Yeah.
What
And
the
that's
heck?
how we have such a big connection with everybody like around the world. It's just because we've consistently just gone there, just met more people. Oregon,
We know people from
Washington.
Italy now because of that. So it's like we know people from Italy.
Met
And
people from Canada
Great
that flew
Britain.
out purposely.
And y'all being convinced to move down to Nashville, Tennessee,
Okay,
believing in
convincing.
Wiley. Please take me
He
through.
says it took a lot of convincing. It didn't take any convincing for me. It took like
Couple phone
days.
calls.
Yeah, like a couple phone calls.
But tell me what
days.
was going through your head. Was there any nervousness? What did your family
me?
say?
For me, it was, I don't know, my family didn't say much because I was just, they learned very quickly. After I got out of high school,
feel
I
that.
was just doing my thing.
I feel
all
that.
Like, they just left me to it. That's why I go by King doing his thing. You know, I was just doing
Just doing his thing.
Yeah, no, I left the job I had at the time, moved to Florida for a little bit, and then I moved to Oklahoma. I was doing like traveling and just everything, and it wasn't working out. I'll tell you what, it was not working out. And there was a phone call we made previously, not too long ago, before I got back to my hometown with Wiley, and he was like, "Hey, I'm thinking of making a group. Let me know what you think. We want you in it." I'm like, "Cool." And then I got done with my traveling job, and I just called him and I was like, "Dude, I'm not going back to that traveling job." And he was like, "So you're calling me to move to Nashville?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool, let's do it." And I remember like walking up the steps right after that phone call. My stepmom was like, "So what are you up to now? Like, what are you gonna do?" I was like, "Tennessee." 2 days later. Then I've been here for like a year and a half now.
Nate, tell me. Oh God.
I was a scared little boy, so it took
And you should
You
be.
know, I had a girlfriend, I had a good job, I was working at a studio, and so I was like, man, I gotta figure this out. And eventually, me and K9, they got a place, and I bunked up with him and his partner, so pulled the trigger eventually. But
Eventually,
yeah, no.
I remember being on the phone just like, dude,
Yeah.
it's already happening. Like, I've been
I was
here
like,
for
man, I gotta get a
6
U-Haul,
months.
I gotta get a date. King's like, man, I put all my stuff that I could find and just started driving, okay?
So I roll. I'm just, I don't condone
God.
it, but yeah.
After a leap of faith like that, tell me about getting to Nashville, some of the first projects or just first events that you guys worked on together, and tell me about really working. Heck
Let me
yeah.
first say zero regrets.
You say,
Zero
you say leap
regrets.
of faith, but that's like a common thing for me.
Yeah.
Like,
You're just
like,
living.
I just live, all right? Like, I lived in Florida for 2 months, and then but when it got here, it was just extreme comfortability. Like, it is close to a home, which is nice, because getting out and about and taking those leaps of faith that you want to call it,
Yeah.
takes a lot, you know?
A leap of faith is definitely what I would call it. I owned my own construction
understand that.
business for 8 years and was just working myself to death and didn't have enough time to do the things that I wanted to do, the time I wanted to dedicate to my music. My girlfriend, shout out to Lindsay, who is acting as our manager, decided to take on the role of our manager, and I was in a truck that was breaking down, and I mean literally
I can vouch for anything he
8
says
to
here.
15 times a day,
crazy.
where I was on the side of the road, unplugging my batteries and trying to get my truck to start. And I know one morning I went to go start my truck and it wouldn't crank up. It was cold, and I slapped the hood of my truck, and I got really mad at myself for getting angry, and I broke down and started crying and started praying. And that leap of faith led to so many things. Shortly after that, Lindsay got us our first real big gig together.
And in our final segment, we're gonna talk about that
Okay.
first big gig, and we're gonna
Okay.
lead all the way up into current career. We're gonna talk about some of the wins that you guys have just taken home recently, and ultimately we're gonna talk about the ways that the Lord has blessed this journey for you
Yes,
all.
yes.
In our final segment, I encourage you all to tune in to hear the awesome story of It's Really Just Us Music Collective, to hear what makes these guys unique, and to hear how and why we can and should support them. Final segment of the show for today. You're watching Perspectives, and I am host Alana McLaughlin. This morning on the show, I've had 3 awesome individuals from It's Really Just Us Music Collective here discussing their backgrounds, some of the early experiences that they had, the impact that they seek to leave on local Tennessee communities through their work, and ultimately what makes them special. In our first 2 segments, we set up just some of the early musical experiences, some of the early inspirations that my guests had. We talked about transitions. We talked about moving state to state, kind of following this dream, and ultimately we're talking about seeing the fruits of their labor. We're talking in this final segment about just current career for these guys, ways that we can connect with them, and ultimately what makes this group special. Guys, you just left off Lindsay booking you guys' first big performance. Tell me about it. I'm gonna ask you guys how you guys felt about it, how it felt to perform like that, and we're gonna talk about what It's Really Just Us looks like in this present day.
Yeah. So our first big gig, we get a text from Lindsay that says, "You guys are opening for Twista," and I'm like, "What?"
Oh,
who? So I grew up on, Twista and Lil Wayne and, Dr. Dre, Snoop. Those were my early influences. So I'm like, what? How? And to get the headline spot, we had to sell out the tickets, more tickets than the other two openers. We sold 70 tickets to that show and sold $1,500 of merch and
what, that was
got
in like
to meet
a month?
Twista, a month of us like really being established. So it was an incredible experience, that show, and we met a lot of good connections from that show. And still out here grinding, putting out new music daily. If we made a song tomorrow, you might not hear it for another year, just because our schedule's booked out that far. We really like to focus on feel good. We want to make people feel emotions when they listen to our music, and really invoke emotion in our listeners. I know that my music specifically has a lot geared towards mental health awareness and things we can do about that in our community. So that is definitely one of my main focuses and main goals for my music and people to hear it.
Guys, tell me, before I get into kind of present day, some of the more recent things that you guys have been involved in, I want to talk about that first performance with Twista. Twista made y'all an overnight celebrity, I guess we can say. But tell me about that.
That was an experience right there. That was like the first time, I think that was the first time that we all came together and actually did a show. So it was like, for the first time to be right before Twista was surreal, and it was crazy. There were so many lights, you couldn't see anybody, but
I forgot about that. Technically, that was like our first show as a group.
And Jim, you were just having fun with it, I guess.
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah.
it was a blast.
Dude, a lot of the times nowadays, it's just like, I'm not surprised. We've done a lot. You get what you deserve sometimes, man. Like, I just gotta say it,
And say it louder.
But, yeah, you get what you deserve sometimes. But yeah, there was 450 something people or whatnot. It was great. It was a great time. Because I remember in high school, once I started figuring out a lot more about rap, like I used to listen to Twista with Tech 9 on Worldwide Choppers and stuff. I was like really into the fast rap early on, and I was trying to copy that stuff all the time. And I was like, dang, Twista. That's wild.
Heck yeah, man. You know your history, man. I like that.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about just how that kind of set the framework for present day. I want to talk about just some of the more recent performances you guys have been involved in. I know specifically, Wiley, you just performed and won first place at Control the Ville Artist Showcase. Control the Ville was an artist showcase held at Love and Exile Bar. This was on April 12th. April 12th. And Wiley, you took home that first grand prize. I had the honor of being able to host that and being able to watch you. And I want to talk about just some of the characteristics that make you unique, some of the characteristics you feel like helped you win that, and just tell me about the reception since then.
I mean, I think you could probably look and see what makes me
You don't even have to say anything.
But I will say I just like being myself. A lot of people, even my closest friends today, tell me when I first met you, I did not like you. And because I think I'm myself unapologetically.
There you go. Yeah, I do the same thing.
And I think that, kind of rubs some people the wrong way, but it's just me being me. And I think I did that Saturday. I went up there and I had really no intentions on taking home the trophy. I was just going to go up there and do my best. I mean, I'm going against artists that are already signed on labels, guys with full bands, backup dancers, things like that. And it was just me on stage.
And you had backup dancers.
And well, I did have a performance from Lindsay and Nate that ran the police and caution tape up.
Turned on the lights.
I was like behind Lindsay, I didn't even know what was happening.
So I want to put on a show whenever I do a show, not just get up there and perform my songs or anything like that. I want people locked in because, with my lyrics, I think if you just pay attention, then you'll find messages in there that really resonate. And that's, my overall goal is to resonate with people and, really get into their psyche. And, one song it's just like, you hear a song that you've heard 100 times over your life. You may not even know the lyrics to it, but one day you're feeling exactly how that song was written, and it hits you, and it really hits you, and it resonates. So that's what I try to go up there and do every time I perform. And I was just blown away by the crowd response and the judge response. And
yeah, hold that bad boy up.
yeah.
Yeah. And you
humble.
deserve your flowers, man. You really,
you.
you did awesome. Tell me about how you guys enjoyed Control the Ville. Tell me just about you guys' involvement with
Man,
it and the importance of like artist showcase like that here in
It
Nashville.
was awesome.
That
It
was
was
the best
awesome.
part.
It was dope seeing
It's
a lot
like
of
you
people.
said, dude, you were getting ready and you're like, man, you know how excited I am right now to just freaking go out there and just see Wiley and just chill, have a couple drinks, man. Like,
Yeah, it's like, man, I love singing, I love performing, I love making music, but there is nothing better than
Man,
just
we were
going,
just supporting.
relaxing, enjoying some live music, and it makes it even better when you know you're one of your best friends
Yeah,
by
it's
win.
just supporting,
So I
that's
mean,
great.
like, he can be all humble. I already came in there knowing what,
Heck
what
yeah.
the verdict was
yeah, I
gonna
had
be.
a pretty good feeling.
I didn't know how big the trophy was, but I knew it was gonna have Wiley's name on it. I mean, but yeah, that was a good day.
they need to put my name on
I know
it.
we're gonna get that. Like,
well,
we're
his
gonna get the
name's
description. I know. We put it right there.
Get a Sharpie, go ahead.
But guys, tell me, what does the future for It's Really Just Us look like?
Big things.
I agree.
Big
I
things.
agree. Tell me what you're seeing. When you see those big things, are you talking Bonnaroo big? Are you talking
Oh, 100%.
Coachella? Are you
Of course.
talking Def Jam? Like, tell me what you guys see. It could be as
Biggest.
outlandish or crazy
Biggest
as
in the
ever.
world. Biggest in the world, behind none other than God. There's no doubt in my mind, and that's the only reason I've moved my entire life here. There's no way that we don't make it bigger than everybody, and I say that humbly. I'm not saying that to be cocky. I'm saying that because we've put in the work. We have the talent, and
It's the talent.
hard work beats talent, but nothing beats hard work and talent. And
Heck yeah.
and we got that. We got that. This man right here is a visionary. This man right here is a visionary.
That man right there is a visionary.
We could be. We could be. Our producer, K9, that man,
Visionary.
different. He's the best in the city, and nobody
He
knows
really
his name
is.
yet.
It's insane.
yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
crazy. He
We,
can
al-
walk.
we always say, or at least I always say, there's good producers, and then there's really good producers, and then there's like the best of the best producers, and then there's K9.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh,
So shout out to K9.
Look, make me want to book studio time with him. I don't even have anything to
I'll tell you.
dude.
I'll
It'll
be
make you
friends.
sound like $1 million on one of his beats. I'll tell you. I'll
K9,
tell
I'm calling you, man.
Come to the Urju Mansion.
Yeah, that's what A-West calls it.
And in this
The
last about
Urju
2
Mansion.
minutes, plug you guys in. Plug in your studio. Plug in ways that people connect
Okay.
with you all as a collective and individually. Digital streaming platforms, but give it to me. Wiley
For
start.
one, it's not a studio. It's our house. But you can come over if you want.
Oh, okay. Cool.
We call it the Urju Mansion. We make hits there. I go by My Friend Wiley. You can find me everywhere. My Friend Wiley on Instagram, My Friend Wiley YouTube, My Friend Wiley on Spotify. It's all My Friend Wiley. Make it easy to find. And It's Really Just Us collective. I mean, all you got to type in is It's Really Just Us.
And guys, plug in your individual socials in about this last minute.
Go ahead, bro.
Oh, Nate Mack, spelled like Big Mac, but with Nate instead of Big. Official Nate Mack on everything.
And King,
King doing his thing on everything.
King
It's
doing his
easy.
thing.
Don't even put spaces. It doesn't matter.
because he's just doing his
I
thing.
don't need to. Yeah. Just do your thing.
Thank you guys for just sharing some time with me. Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
sharing your stories. Thank you all for pouring into him. And thank you all as a collective for giving your flowers to the Lord. Thank you all for trusting in him and for being awesome. Thank you guys for just
Thank you.
bringing in a light to Music City. I appreciate y'all. And to our viewers, thank you for allowing me the space to just share the stories that make our city unique and beautiful. Thank you for allowing me this space one more morning. And on that morning tip, I wish you a good morning.